Riverside. Hey, we're here. We're Gorpin. I'm glad you're back with us. Gorp, of course, is the podcast you're currently listening to. It stands for Gimli operates pickaxes proficiently. I'm your guy named Josh. I'm joined by co-hosts Jess.
Hi.
Of course, Julie's here.
Howdy.
And we're joined by the mighty and powerful producer, Taylor.
Hello.
Woo! She keeps us in track.
Yeah. Well, the way Gorp works is we have a theme for the week. We talk about it, and we reach in a bag for topics based on the theme. Perhaps in the future we can talk about that on Twitter. You can add something, figure it out together. Maybe, who knows? But pass it to Taylor. We can talk about what's up.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, this week's topic is guilty pleasures. So super enjoyable. For the occasion, I have found this lovely plastic tiki cup that I got from Universal and had a wonderful frozen concoction in it. So definitely a guilty pleasure.
Fruit based?
Butterbeer?
No, it was like a frozen tiki Mai Tai type of situation thing. Yeah, it wasn't from the Hogwarts area of like the Wizarding World. It was near Jurassic Park, I think. I don't know. I made my boyfriend go get it, and he loves me very much, so he happily did. While I waited in line.
Very much. Wonderful.
Yeah, so that's what I got for us this week.
Nice. Frozen drink is definitely a guilty pleasure in my mind.
I think so.
Frozen drink. Oh yeah.
Well,
yeah.
They're good. They're so sugary.
It's like, should I? It's like, should I? It's hot today. Fuck it.
Dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, like you can't do it all the time.
Funny because it's true.
It has to be like a once in a while kind of like I'm being bad type of thing. Not just because there's a lot of sugar and that's like not great for you, but because sugar gives you hangovers. So you can't do that too much.
I'm naughty.
All right, let's see what the first topic is this week.
Wee.
Activities.
Ooh.
Activities.
Well, that kind of poses into question, like, well, what do we consider really like a guilty pleasure? Because I feel like that's something we need to like clear up before we really dive into this.
Fair. It's like something that you think is probably socially unacceptable, like in your at least in your group, right? Like what the people in your group would think weird.
Sure.
See, I think of it as like something that I enjoy, but that maybe my mom wouldn't appreciate me doing.
Okay. Mom, yeah.
I feel like those kind of definitions are like the first initial thought, and that was my thought too. But the reason I posed the question is because while the obvious, like one of the obvious definitions of a guilty pleasure is something that you love that you think others would like shun you for, make fun of you for, or like not approve of. Couldn't a guilty pleasure also be something that like you like to indulge in that other people don't necessarily care about, but you think is like, I'm being bad, I shouldn't do that?
Overindulging, maybe? Like so something you overindulge in.
So it's not so bad to do this, but if you like just keep like maybe video games, but then you're delving into like maybe crossing the line into bad habits. Or because it's not necessarily
we're crossing over into fetishes, maybe.
Well, I think definitely. I definitely think that the like reoccurringness of whatever you're doing comes into play. If you're doing it frequently, it's not a guilty pleasure. I feel like those are once in a while kind of things that you're like, ooh, I'm being, bad. I shouldn't be doing this. Or I try not to do it because others might find out that I do it, kind of thing.
Right.
I don't feel like if you're doing it frequently, it's like
but there's also
pleasure.
there's also the guilty pleasure where it's like you're not really ashamed to talk about it. It's just like you don't tell everybody that. Like I
Right.
don't
It's
know. I don't know.
But I
Like
think
if you have
that's
a
what I
community
meant.
who talks about it, like then it's okay. But it's like what Julie said at first, like socially acceptable.
Well, okay.
Okay.
As far as activities, it's like I used to do some LARPing with like foam swords and like get in the forest and beat each other up with swords, right? And I'm not
yeah. Yep.
necessarily ashamed of that, but back then I wouldn't tell everyone that I pretend that I'm a warrior barbarian in this with a foam
I think
sword.
that counts.
That
I think it
counts.
counts, yeah, but like I I wonder about like right now. I'll tell anybody that. I'll do it right now. You have a
Right.
sword, let's
Well,
go. So I'm not
I think
necessarily
it's
ashamed of it. No.
we can assume that this is probably a group that, since we're talking about them publicly, that we really don't have any shame. But what would be maybe guilty pleasures if we were normal?
So like now in my 30s, I don't care. In my 20s, I would not be talking about this at all. Like it's for me, it's
Sure.
just a
Oh yeah.
age thing. Like
Oh yeah.
I definitely think shame plays a huge role in the idea of like a guilty pleasure. I think that kind of has to be a presence in order for it to be a guilty pleasure of any kind. I think if you don't care, then it's not something you're like masking or hiding for any reason. Then yeah, you kind of just roll with it. um, that being
Right.
said, what are we guilty about activity wise?
Well, yeah. Sword fighting in the woods.
I'll start. I would love to LARP. That sounds like so much fun. Like Dungeons and Dragons. Like
Oh,
that
I
sounds like
I play D&D.
if
Let's play
if I
again.
played that would be that would.
I want to play
Oh my
so
god,
bad. I have a
teach
I'll
book.
me.
DM.
I have the book.
Let's get on Discord and we'll do some DM games, or we can make
OMG.
that a podcast. Boom. I got you.
Roll
Oh
20.
my god. My life just changed.
Yeah, we could do some D&D, but it's
Are you
it's going to be like a three
you're
hour
you
podcast though. You know what I mean?
my biggest fear would be that like um I would never find someone that would want to introduce a newbie to it. This is awesome.
Oh, I love newbies. Anyway, back on topic.
Okay. Right, right. Guilty pleasures. I guess I'm not that guilty about it. Actually, I might be. My I don't think my girlfriend would approve.
Oh, my husband.
I feel like nowadays I feel like it's not as like, taboo nowadays to say you want to play, Dungeons and Dragons. Who are like, okay, cool, do your thing by all means. And like nerd culture now is bigger than ever, and I'm here for it. I'm super into all that stuff, comic books. I collect
I just
things.
think
I'm there.
yeah, I genuinely like just equivalent it with intelligence. Like you have to be so intelligent to be able to play that game. Like and like
It's
creative
creative.
and strategic.
So especially after Stranger Things just came out again, like Dungeons and Dragons is a huge part of that show, and now I feel it's probably super popular. I haven't checked any stats. I don't really know, but I would imagine if anything it's having a
It's
resurgence, very much like when the Queen's Gambit came out and all of a sudden everybody
in
wanted to play
chess.
chess and everybody thought chess was like super nerdy for a really long time, and now they're like, oh no, this is like a game of intelligence and strategy. It's super cool. So I feel like that very much could happen if it's not already.
There's a lot
Continue.
of it on TikTok. The algorithm likes me, so I watch nerd stuff all day.
Amazing. I'm not ashamed of any of those nerd things, but I think the one thing that this is a COVID hobby I developed. It's not something that I'm like go around spreading that I do. I don't know if I'm really ashamed of it, but I'm like, when I tell people about it, it's hard to explain for them to like grasp what I do. And it's something I stumbled upon on like Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is.
What is it?
Diamond art.
I have a kit in my drawer right now.
Oh my
It's
god.
Harry Potter themed.
So, diamond art
Give me that.
is it's basically a canvas board that has a picture on it with a grid. Each of the squares on the grid corresponds to a different colored diamond that you put on it to like make a picture. It's kind of like a paint by numbers, but
I
with
have one.
diamonds. Yeah,
See, and
like that.
there's,
I think
like,
I have one
shiny
here too.
diamonds. Like,
Do I?
they're
Did I hit
shiny.
it?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. I don't know where my
It's Hedwig.
canvas is. Oh, I have one that I finished actually. You want to see a finished
Oh
one?
yeah, it's EMDR.
Okay. Here's a finished one.
Ooh, I like that one.
So they're
Is that
like
a star? Is
shiny.
that a stormtrooper?
It is a stormtrooper. I
It
made it for
is.
my boyfriend. Not that he actually cares, but he pretends like he does. So I love him for that.
Oh, that's so
So
sweet.
it's shiny and it's fun. But the best part about these and why I'm so obsessed with them is they're like textured because of the diamonds. It's all like sensory. It's so
Oh,
pleasurable
it is
to like
EMDR. We're doing
to
that.
like rub your hands on. So I don't go around like just do diamond art. There are a couple people that I tell who know that I do it. I spent a lot of time doing it during class on Zoom, like Zoom class, because it takes zero like thought to do whatsoever, but it takes just enough thought that like it keeps your focus in one place. So you can like
It's like a fidget.
yeah, kind of. I think what I'm most guilty pleasure about in regards to it is how nerdy I took it and the fact that when you buy it, all of these like little tiny diamond things in all the millions of colors that you have, it comes in just like little plastic bags that don't seal. They don't seal. So I had to go out and get a fucking box for all the the different diamonds and stuff.
Got little cases.
Yeah. Okay, mine doesn't like come out like that because I didn't want to do that. But the reason it's so nerdy, each of the colors with the bag comes with a number. And that number corresponds to like a letter or a symbol or something on the actual picture because some of the colors are really similar. So it needs to have like a distinguishing mark to tell them apart. And I literally had to go and like label all the compartments and stuff. It took way too much time. I'm not super proud of how much time it all took.
I'm
Was it?
super proud. Okay. Well, within that vein, I'm going to show you my guilty pleasure and tell you about it. I crochet. I make pretty things, and I learned it when I was like 22, and I get called a granny and all kinds of other things. But yarn is so pretty, and it feels so good. And they come in all kinds of colors.
There's so many and fabrics. So they have different fabrics of yarn, don't they?
Mhm. Like
That's awesome.
there's like wool and alpaca and
So the real question though isn't necessarily that this is your guilty pleasure activity. The real question is, what are you the most guilty that you have made that you've crocheted?
Tell me it's a harness. A dildo harness. Say
My
it.
former roommate
do.
knitted.
I want to make Kate. I want to make him one of like the cock holder things, but he's like he won't model it for me. He won't let me take measurements. He's like, no, you're not. I don't really make that many. Like I usually just make blankets because it's a nice thing to like listen to my audiobooks and I'm just like crocheting away or
What do you
watching
do
my
with that
trash
many
TV.
blankets?
I usually give him as gifts. Like this one right here is for my niece. I'm meeting her this month for the first time, so I get to give it to her. I'm so excited. But yeah,
Nice. Yay.
but it's my
I only asked
granny one.
because my former roommate crocheted my cat, my older cat, Binks, a bow tie
Hat.
when he wants to be
Aw.
a fancy cat.
I love it.
Binks from
It's
Hocus
pretty
Pocus.
fabulous.
Classic.
Yes, his name is Binks, as in Thackeray Binks from Hocus Pocus. All right. Anybody else have any guilty activities, or should we move on to the next topic?
Well, I feel like mine's not even going to compare as far as activities go because like y'all have stolen the show. But the only one I was going to say is like popping pimples or popping blackheads, or like my girlfriend if
Yes.
she has a blackhead, like I'm so into it. It's so
That's so
satisfying.
funny you just said that.
Oh.
I do that to my boyfriend all the time. I'm sure he loves
Yeah,
that I do it.
it's so good. Like she'll just spread her legs and let me go in on her ingrown hairs, and it doesn't even get sexual. It's just like I'm here for this. Yeah, yeah, it's so good. All right, I'm glad that I wasn't the only
No,
one. I don't feel so guilty
I
anymore.
love Dr. Pimple Popper. Like sometimes it relaxes
Hell
me.
yeah.
Like it puts me to
I feel
sleep.
like
It like
it
calms
has to be
me.
a certain kind of pimple though, because some are really obnoxious. Even the ones that like I pop on myself, some are really satisfying and others are just a pain in the fucking ass. The ones that are
Truth.
stubborn or the really like whitehead type of ones that are just really like liquidy, those are not satisfying. It has to have some kind of consistency, like sturdy consistency, where when you pop it, it just all kind of like comes out like a cylinder or something, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's how like my favorite that my girlfriend had was just like a blackhead, which you don't really understand like a true blackhead until it's on a back and like
Oh, I
it's
have
really been
seen one of
collecting
those.
in a
Oh
pore.
my god, yes.
And
My
it's not like this tiny little thing. It's like this beautiful little black to white like beauty, right? Like it
Yeah.
just goes like it's so
oh
good and it comes all the way out.
my son has one like on the inside of his ear. So like I have to
That's
like I feel so bad for him, but I'm always like, yes, let me clean it out.
I'm gonna get it.
so. If you want, I can let you guys pick the topic out of the
Okay.
leftovers, or I can just pick one.
I'm gonna pick TV. If I get to pick, I'll pick TV because I have all the shows.
Okay.
I
So
want to tell you all about The Bachelor.
that is an
Oh.
option. Shows and movies. The other options are foods.
Foods to
I
include
feel like
alcoholic
these two
beverages.
kind of go together, so I'm gonna put them together. Like apps, games, like social media platforms, channels, things like that.
Yeah.
And then
I'm a-
guilty pleasures that keep you sane at work,
Interessant.
or impulse purchases. I don't know why I almost didn't finish that word. Shows and movies. All right,
Yeah.
Julie. So since you're so eager, why don't you start us off?
God, you guys. It's like bad. So one of the things I've kind of had to navigate as a parent is like just trying to find activities that you can do as a family, and it just turns out that sometimes it's watching TV shows, right? And so I've really gotten our kids into like we're binging, not binging, but yes, every night we'll kind of watch an episode of Naked and Afraid. Are you familiar?
No
Naked and
way.
Afraid. We're talking 8, 8, and 10, and we're just like telling them everything. Like they're like so like empathetic, right? And they're like, he didn't thank that animal before he killed it, and I'm like, I know he should have done better.
So did you get your children into the show, or was it vice versa?
I got our kids into it. Yeah, I was loved it before, and I was like, what a great way to kind of show what you like about people in this world, right? Like or just like being self-sufficient, not necessarily that you have to be, but like knowing that however you think life is right now, like life could be so much harder. Like just know that no matter what, it's your faith that gets you through, like faith in
I'm
something.
so intrigued. When you started talking about your kids, I did not think this was the direction we were going. I definitely thought we were going the direction that I was going to go down, which was the Disney shows and Disney, like, kids, like, Disney Channel things. And don't get me wrong, obviously I love the ones from my childhood, like the Disney Channel original movies and things like that. Those I will still love from my childhood, but I'm talking about the ones that are more recent too. Like, I will go back and as an adult now and watch like the new Disney Channel movies
Girl Meets
that come
World.
out. Not Girl Meets World. I haven't seen that. I did watch the That's So Raven reboot, Raven's Home. Loved that show. It was really good.
Didn't they do a Proud Family redo?
They did. I started watching it, but I haven't finished it. And I'm even talking about things like The Descendants. This is stuff that I've watched because of pure curiosity. Like,
my daughter loved The Descendants.
That's why I had to watch it. I was like, there's a whole generation of people below me that are obsessed with this. I know it's a musical, so now I'm curious. I have to know what it's about. I think it was directed by Kenny Ortega, if I'm not mistaken, who not only directed Hocus Pocus, which both of my cats are named after, he did High School Musical also, which came out when I was in middle school. So I definitely had to go check it out. It wasn't my favorite, but I do watch these things, and I'm not running to tell people that I watched them. I'm a little secret about it because, your girl is pushing 30. But
That's it. Listen, that sounds exactly like someone pushing 30. Like, you just like you're dancing with what brought you up, right? You're dancing with
I
it. Like,
guess I think
what?
it's the part of me
Yeah,
that
like
just doesn't want to grow
what?
up. Like, I want part of me to stay a child
Yeah,
forever. So I think that's where it stems from.
fair. I think it's beautiful. Isn't it great?
But I'm really
All walks of
glad that your
life.
kids are like not even in that. You're like, let's go watch Naked and Afraid.
Well, that's the thing, is that, don't get me wrong, like, I will walk in on them watching the dumbest YouTube videos you'll ever see about people setting up like dominoes with a robot, and like watching like
Like someone like playing a game,
shopping.
watching someone play the game. Like they're watching.
Yeah, yes, all that stupid ass shit. So any chance that we get to like be a part of them seeing something that is actually worth a damn in society, like, we love it. We love it.
I think
We also have just recently listen, I'm gonna steal this for just another second, because I need to tell y'all that we actually just started watching Married at First Sight with them.
Oof.
And we're telling them all the things that they should never accept in a
life
relationship.
lessons.
That's
Yes.
a good way to do it. And like, no, it's awesome.
Hey, TV taught me a lot growing up. It could teach other people things growing up.
Seriously. That's how I feel about it. And it's like, as long as you are using it to educate yourselves and think critically, it's a tool. So,
Yeah,
Nope.
for
I'm here for it.
sure. It's really funny that you're saying that your kids are watching stupid YouTube videos and it's like robots building cool things or like putting dominoes together. And I remember, I'm sorry, do you remember when the internet was actually stupid? In middle school and in high school, the only videos that were on the internet were like E-Bombs World and stuff.
I loved E-Bombs. Are you
I
serious?
loved it too, but it was all stupid, and
Perpetual poop.
it was much stupider than people figuring things out with robots.
Candy
You're not
now
wrong.
and Charlie.
You're not wrong.
Oh my god.
That's interesting perspective. That's interesting perspective. Wow.
Nope.
What do you think about that?
My guilty pleasure TV show, like Survivor. I just started watching it a couple of months ago, and I'm on season 22.
Oh my god. Wait, you've watched all of the seasons?
No, there's like 48 of them.
But did you start from the first one and work your way through?
I started from the very first season. And I'm on like season 23 now. I took a break because there's only so many times that you can watch Survivor. So I had to take a break, but my kids love it. They start watching it now.
Yeah.
But I never watched it. I never watched it growing up. We didn't have the TV. We never watched it. So but now I'm
Yo,
like,
okay, so
there's
how
so
many
many Survivor references in like my everyday life that I never understood.
Okay, I remember watching Survivor like when the first few seasons live when they aired. There were a few standout moments that I very vividly remember, like the time that the two girls stripped naked and
Got
like
naked for
ended the
chocolate and peanut butter.
challenge for Oreos and peanut butter. That moment really sticks out in my head. And then there are a few like final, challenge, whatever the ceremony things are, like final ceremonies that stick out in my head.
Tribal
But
council.
at what point, how many seasons in did you have to take a break? Like, at what point were you winded and you're like, enough?
I told you, 23. I'm
Oh, this is where the break is.
like, this is where the break is.
Got
I'm
it.
on the break. Like, I
Oh,
watched
dear.
like the All-Star ones. I watched like Boston Rob. I love Boston Rob. Like,
Holy moly.
I've never heard of him.
I was super hormonal, and I found out that Boston Rob and Jenna were still together, and they have 3 kids, and I just like started crying. I was like, it's so beautiful.
That is adorable. That's adorable.
Good God.
It's
It's a beautiful love story.
That's
it really
amazing.
is, and they're both millionaires. They both won. But
That's so cute.
That's crazy.
yeah, it was a tie because I was thinking, I was like, it's either this or Friends, which I've seen at least 15 times, and now, like in today's society, it's kind of garbage. But Ross is garbage. But yeah,
Ross is the worst. Well, maybe Joey is the worst.
no,
Actually,
Joey is so kind. He gave up meat so Phoebe could eat meat. It's just Joey's
yeah,
the
but
best.
he was he treated women so poorly.
He was very
No.
misogynistic. But
Yeah.
he was really
He's
great
nice
to
to
his
him.
girlfriends that were like his friends.
He misled them. He like promised this fake emotion so that they would love him back, and then disposed of him.
Whatever. Rachel should never have gone back on the plane. Should have just left. I saw a theory that, or like a fanfic where that's another guilty pleasure, but that's another story. But where Rachel like actually ended up running into Emily while she was in Europe, and then they got together so that all of Ross's ex-wives were lesbians. He was like, it's like that would have been a story.
Somebody actually made that
I
up?
think so.
That is so cool.
That's good.
Oh my gosh. That would make so much sense. You would have to be
What about you, Josh?
Shows and such. Well,
Yeah, what's your guilty
mhm.
pleasure show, movie?
I used to watch Apprentice on the dot every day, every week. You know when it was on.
Oh my gosh.
But it was like with the family. The family, we all watched Apprentice. Even my like 6-year-old brother, when I was in high school or whatever. And it like reality shows in general, like that's just what we watched. And my stepmom and dad still do it, and they do 40 Day Fiance and stuff like that. And to them it's just tuning out your brain. So for me, with something tuning out my brain, I used to watch The Office constantly, and now that feels guilty because it's like, yeah, okay, cool, everybody does that, I watch TikTok
Or do you just
more
feel
than I
guilty
should.
because of how many times you've seen it?
Oh yeah. Oh here. Okay. Speaking of that, I I spent at least a year. I listened to Hamilton every day. So that's weird.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
I mean, kind of. I'm over
My
it now.
most listened
But
to song on my Spotify is Lin-Manuel Miranda is amazing.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's great. Like I said, I listen to it a lot, so maybe I'm just sick of it now. But it's wonderful. What you said your most listened to on Spotify is what?
Is the In the Heights, like the first 7 minutes, like the first song. Like I know every single word to it. I know.
That makes sense. You get bored of a song when it's like too simplistic. Your brain gets tired of it. It sees the intricacies of it more quickly than like something like Lin-Manuel Miranda, where his songs are much more intricate. There's a lot of words. You have to process a lot of everything that's happening. So your brain is like, I could listen to this a million times because I'm catching something new every time. And it's not until you know it, like front and back, that you kind of get bored of it. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Okay, so as far as shows, I was embarrassed about watching anime when I was in junior high. Because in junior high, for me, anime was very, very nerdy. Like, it's before Toonami. Um, like, my brother was really into it, so he would get the VHS tapes that were, like, subtitled by fans. Like, very illegal import
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
He'd order VHS tapes off the internet. So watched a lot of Dragon Ball and stuff, and I had a lot of Dragon Ball shirts, but I never wore them to school because I was like, "Yee," girl, I will get a girlfriend if
Yeah.
I have a Dragon Ball shirt on, and that's so silly because
What's
now
your favorite
everyone's
anime
wearing.
now?
Really haven't watched a lot lately. Oh, Attack on Titan was the most recent. I love that. My favorite's Berserk. I have the tattoo, which is being remade, and they've I watched it in the 90s, so I didn't think anyone would ever know about it ever again, so I got this tattoo, and now everyone has this tattoo because it's like very popular now. But that's cool though. It's pretty cool.
I feel like I'm starting to see a separation in our ages because I don't recall a time growing up where anime was considered like uncool. I feel like a lot of
Oh
people
no, it
growing up
was
watched things like, especially Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that, was really big with the guys growing up. For me personally,
no. I mean, yeah, for sure. Like, but I was in middle school. First Dragon Ball I saw was I don't know, maybe 12, and it wasn't on TV. Like, it was like at a comic book store we saw it. Someone had a VHS. It wasn't on TV yet. The only thing people knew about anime was like Speed Racer.
I think my first anime I watched was like Sailor Moon.
same.
Oh
And
yeah.
I never really was. Oh no,
Fighting
scratch that. It
evil
was
by
definitely Pokemon.
moonlight. Yeah.
Pokemon was definitely the first anime I'd ever seen, but I feel like that's very light anime. I did see Sailor
sure.
Moon a
So-
bunch growing up, but I was never super into it. It didn't like spark
There's
anything.
there's
in
some
me.
episodes of Pokemon that they didn't air like on American TV because it was like too violent. You have to like find them on YouTube and stuff, but
Bring
like, I
them
went
to
through
me. Send me
like,
links
just you could go on
immediately.
YouTube. Something like, I think just one of them like had like a gun at one point, and like American TV was like, we can't show kids with guns.
Geodude, use gun. And Geodude.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense now, but
Yeah. It's weird. So like it's aged out. So like now for me it's like I don't tell people I watch anime because there's so much anime and so much of it is so weird. So you're like kind of like testing the waters when you mention it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
it's like you have to have like a secret word or like something like, hey, do you read that? Like, do you watch this? Oh yeah. Like,
Right.
oh my god. No, I get it.
All right.
Tets,
And
A
on
new
like that.
anime, Fairy Tale.
Yeah.
All right. And on that note, I guess we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Taylor. You can find me on social media at It's Taylor Stone. Josh, why don't you tell them where they can find our podcast?
Oh, we're at the Gorp Show on the Tweeters. My name's Josh. I'm at JR Berkeley on the Instas.
And then we got Jess. Tell them where you can
Oh.
tell them where they can find you.
I basically only use TikTok. It's bookish nerdy Jess. I talk about books, so if you don't like that, don't come follow me.
And then Julie, where can they find you?
I don't use my social media very often. So, but you can definitely like just search for me and let me know what you find. It's Julie without the E, Reagan without any E's. So JuliRagan. Do your research.
All
Do
right.
your
Thank you so
research.
much. Don't forget to like,
Good luck.
subscribe, rate, review this podcast. We hope you'll come back. Keep an eye out if we announce the topic for next week. And thanks again for coming. Bye.
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 Bye.